Hey yo, what going everyone? I hope you're having a nice day. So I follow a push-pull leg split, and today I'll be showing you my pull day workout. We start this off with a pre-activator, which is essentially an exercise used to establish a mind-muscle connection with the muscle group that we're targeting that day, so in this case the lats, and provides additional blood flow towards that area. Now, although cues used in conjunction with a mind-muscle connection doesn't affect hypertrophy or the growth of a muscle when heavy loads are used, there seems to be a trend for more activation with a control movement using cues, such as this movement right here. This can be observed on this graph. That's why I go really late on this exercise for around 10 to 15 reps for 2 to 3 sets or until I feel conscious of my lats. I think this is especially important for the posterior chain, basically all the muscles behind you, as you can't see them contracting and working, so it's harder to be conscious of them. To perform, you'll want to bring your elbow from the top resting position down towards your side. This is called shoulder adduction in a straight line. You can also choose to palpate the muscle that's working, which basically means feeling it with your non-engaged hand, just like how I'm doing right here as it contracts and relaxes, to be even more mindful of your lats. I fully stretch my lats at the top, and then as I'm bringing it down, I crunch towards the cable. Now moving on to my favorite back exercise, the lat pullovers. I did this using a rope around 3 to 4 sets for 8 to 10 reps, and I find that I feel a lot more back engagement compared to any other row or pull down variation, which is why I like doing this one first. Now, I thought this angle was going to be sick, but I kind of realized that you guys can't see anything, so I'll put a picture of this exercise while I'm explaining it. So what you want to do is retract and depress your scapula, or basically pinch your shoulder blades back and down, and while keeping your arms straight and locked to limit tricep engagement, you want to imagine that your arm is basically a lever and its fixed point, or the point that it can turn and move, is at your shoulders. And now the way that I like to think of it is, imagine that you're in water and you're pushing water down and back, with your shoulder being the only point of motion. I finished off my last set with a bar attachment just because at this point I was getting tired and my arm tended to bend more, so the bar just allows me to be more mindful of keeping my arm fixed and focusing on using my back to bring the weight down. Next up is the Liddy seated cable row. For this one, after retracting my scapula, which you should always do, I try to row from my elbows while imagining my fingers as simple hooks attached to the bar. Now, since with this variation I can't really row too far back as the machine hits my stomach, I try to increase the range of motion by leaning forward and then back at a 1 to 3 tempo. So explosively pulling it towards me for 1 second and then resisting the weight on the way down for a slow 3 seconds. The way I see it, there's 2 ways this row can be done: with momentum, by lunging your body backwards like this, which actually allows for greater loads to be moved, so you're lifting more weight, which equates to hypertrophy in the long run, or without moving your back too much for a stricter row, which allows for more mindful contractions and more time under tension. At the end of the day, both these factors contribute to hypertrophy, so implementing both in your routine might be ideal for overall gains. Now comes a vertical pull. For the lat pull downs, what most people tend to forget is the retraction and depression of their scapula, which is what I just did. I brought the bar to where I felt peak contraction, because sometimes making it hit your chest as a primary goal in mind actually distracts you from the real goal, back gains. Again, pull from your elbows down towards your chest. So what I do differently besides this weird setup is that while I'm rowing, I actually set a sort of maximum and minimum point. so I don't fully bring the bar down, and I don't let the weight rest at the top. Doing this sort of makes my lats engage throughout the whole motion, so it doesn't give it time to just rest. Y'all should give this a try, but don't go too fast, know what I'm saying? As an overall finisher, I did some Yates row or barbell row. I rode pretty heavily towards my belly button, and don't mind the swinging, that just overloads the back. So this really hits your low back, upper traps, and covers all the gaps, know what I'm saying? Now for the biceps portion of my pull workout. For those of you that don't know, whenever you're doing a pulling exercise, so a row or a pull-up, your biceps are actually heavily involved due to the arm flexion that occurs during these exercises, which is one of the main functions of your biceps. So it makes no sense not to train them when they're being trained. Boy. So I start things off with a heavy, or at least for me, bicep curl. And just don't be this guy. That is not how you bicep curl. That man ain't making no gains. So hopefully I'll be able to show you guys the right way to perform this exercise in order to make some gains and to not look like a clown and not wind up on someone's video. What you want to do is fully come down with the bar to the point where you're even flexing your triceps at the bottom, and then start curling up without any momentum or using your body too much. So during the full range of motion, you want to keep your forearm and wrist straight and fixed, so don't overly bend your wrist. It's kind of like the same concept as the pullovers, but this time you want to imagine your screw point, or the point at which you can move, to be at your elbows. Voila, another set. But at the end, when I was swinging the bar up, so my force reps, to increase my total volume, I held a longer eccentric, which basically means I was starting to resist the weight from falling down as quickly, and this increases time under tension, which once again plays a role in hypertrophy. Therefore, we making gains. After that humongous small ass weight, I followed up this heavy bicep movement with some lighter isolation exercise. So I did some concentration curls. Your arms are in front of you. This whole exercise with your arm being flexed out in front of you puts more emphasis on the short head, since your arm is more in a locked place. The short head is the inner part of the bicep. Following this, I ended off my pull workout with some incline curls. These are super very light. I find this to be very complementary to my concentration curls, as this puts your shoulder in a more extended position, so the opposite of flexed, and this works more of the long head, or the outside of the bicep, which forms the famous bicep peak. Since the long head is more active through a longer range of motion, putting it in a more stretched position to increase your range of motion is kind of smart, you know. 2 + 2 is 4. And with that, we conclude this pull workout video. I hope you guys got some value from this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to tag along with me and my journey. And hopefully we gonna be able to make some gains. Man, peace.